Am I the asshole for telling my mom that children with iPhones isn't that uncommon? So the story is that I asked my mom if I could borrow her phone iPhone 8 Plus to do something that required iOS 13 Plus. I have her old cracked iPhone 6 Plus and iOS 13 doesn't support 6 Plus or lower. She asked me why I couldn't just do it on my phone. I told her that my phone doesn't support it, and she snapped and said, yes, it does. It's the same Apple iPhone. It then spiraled into an argument about how I was ungrateful with the stuff I had. She then said, how many of your friends do you see walking around with an iPhone 6 Plus? I responded, I don't see any of them walking around with a 6 Plus. I see them walking around with brand spanking new iPhone X's and 11s. I really appreciate what I have, but the phone has its limits. Besides, it isn't uncommon to see children walking around with the newest tech Apple puts out. This made her even more mad, and she took my phone privileges for the time being. Lay it on me, Reddit. Am I the asshole?
Your mom is the asshole immediately blew up about the plain fact that older systems cannot support newer apps technology. You're also the asshole for making me feel like my iPhone 6 is dated and Stone Age. I love him. He's my baby. Of course he needs a portable battery, but he's trying.
Reading through the post and its comments, I was kind of on the fence, but my final determination is not the asshole. I mean, tech changes very quickly, and I think your mom just didn't like being told she was wrong. If you were saying you deserve an iPhone 10 because everyone else has one but you couldn't afford it, that's a different story and the initial vibe I got. But just explaining tech to a, how dare I say this, boomer and getting yelled at because they refuse to be told they are wrong doesn't make you an asshole. Not the asshole. Sounds like your mum doesn't get technology. But also isn't good at admitting she's wrong.
Not the asshole. You're right about everything you said. You weren't trying to be rude or ungrateful.
Not the asshole. Obviously this depends on how old you are. If you are 8 to 13, the answer would be to get off Reddit. If you are older, the obvious answer is that you're not the asshole. Having an old phone that not even the manufacturer's new tech supports anymore is frustrating as hell. Not the asshole. The iOS tech does change pretty quick and the older devices just don't do the same things as the new ones. I've found that take of all tech working the same is not uncommon with people who didn't grow up with these devices.
Not the asshole. You were not asking for a new phone, you asked to borrow hers. It sounds like you appreciate the phone you have, it just cannot do what you needed to do at the time.
Your mom is definitely the asshole for going off the way she did, but I really can't see how you don't realize you came off as ungrateful by mentioning that literal children walk around with brand spanking new iPhone X's and so do all of your peers, when neither you nor your mother have one. I think it was probably a defensive comment, but definitely would have exacerbated the situation. Not the asshole. Tech has its limits, and your phone is reaching that point. That being said, being right doesn't mean you handled it the right way. You probably would have been better off explaining that older hardware doesn't always support the latest software.
1. How old are you? 2. What did you need iOS 13 Plus for? 3. What is the SES of your family?
Not the asshole. First, your mother is clueless, man, facepalming. They can't update older models to the same level as newer tech, so it can't have the same software. Second, you're damn right. Children these days to usually have sparkling new iPhone. Phones have new releases for a reason, and she need to understand the reason is that tech has their limits until they are improved.
Reading this made me chuckle and remember that I have a friend with an iPhone 3. Tears of joy. Not the asshole obviously, but you could have maybe taken a moment to explain why yours doesn't work if you know she doesn't totally understand technology.
Not the asshole. It would be one thing if you had said that you deserved, needed, wanted a brand new phone, but you didn't say that. You were just honest about the fact that a lot of kids' parents keep them up to date on their phones. That is true. Your mom is the asshole because she's clearly one of those older folk types that refuses to learn even the basics of technology, and then she yelled at you like she knew what she was talking about. Most of the lazy older folks I know at least have the decency to admit they're clueless and trust younger people when they tell them something tech-related, and usually they're a different type of entitled to being taught over and over and over again how to do some simple thing. I wish our culture put more pressure on these guys to take the time to actually learn a bit about these devices, because like it or not, they're a staple of modern life.
Not the asshole. You just wanted to borrow her phone. You weren't saying, "Mom, give me a new phone because mine is broken," or anything.
You are not the asshole. Explaining technology to an older person can be difficult. Ask your mom this: if you had a track tape and only a cassette player, why can't you play your music? After all, they are both capable of playing music. This is the same analogy of what you are going through. And a track was from the 1970s and the cassette is from the 1980s. Both play music but would require the correct machine to work. As for everyone having new phones, people get what they can afford. If your parents cannot afford to get you a new phone that you want, then you can get a job to pay for it yourself.
Not the asshole, but almost have a think about how good your mom really is with tech. It comes easily to young people. Sometimes what you understand is not something she will understand. That's sometimes where the "just do it on your iPhone" attitude can come from. Not an excuse for her rudeness, but something to think about in your future conversations.
Not the asshole, you answered her question well. She should not be punishing you for it.
Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your mom sounds like one of those people who thinks they know technology when they just don't.
You are the asshole for acting entitled to the newest technology. I would love to know what you absolutely need iOS 13 to do.
Info: I'm not going to offer judgment because I'm a bit confused. I currently have the iPhone 6s and my iOS is 13.5.1. So, are you sure your iPhone is fully updated?
You're right about the phone's capabilities, of course. But it's not fair to expect your parents to pay for a new $1,000 phone automatically. Prior to modern smartphones, you'd be hard-pressed to find most children walking around with property that valuable unless their family was well off.
Not the asshole. Go for Android, simple.
I had a Shay for 3 years, just got a used 7. My Shay didn't take Wi-Fi, notifications, text messages, or phone calls sometimes. Yes, I understand kids these days have the latest tech, but you sound very ungrateful. NGL rubbed me the wrong way when you're more fortunate than others. She took away the expensive, hand-me-down device she was letting you use, presumably with a phone line and data, after you told her it wasn't good enough for you. She was out of line denying the limitations of an older phone, but a $1,000 phone is a big-ticket luxury item for most adults. Yeah, you are the asshole if you feel that you're owed the newest, best, most expensive tech.